Welcome to Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast, episode number 140. I'm Jeff Halash. This is our live call-in show for computer repair techs. We bring you tips and ideas for your IT business. The call-in number is 1-888-697-0162. Let me introduce you to the co-hosts. We have Matt Rainey from Podnutz Pro and InformedIT.net. How you doing, Matt?
Oh, just fine, Jeff. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. And also, we have another Matt joining us today. We have Matt Rodela from Your Friendly Neighborhood Computer Guy and the Computer Business Podcast and Tech Site Builder. He's just got a bunch of things going on. How you doing, Matt?
Excellent, excellent. I felt like I needed to add to the confusion by throwing another Matt in the mix, so here I am.
Oh, very cool. All right, we got a jam-packed show today, guys. It's going to be, we got a lot of stuff going on. The next big event that's coming up is the CompTIA ChannelCon, August 3rd through the 5th, 2015 in Chicago. Go to the link in the show notes for your free ticket to the CompTIA ChannelCon in Chicago, provided by Instant House Call. Yeah, we need to, if anybody else is planning on going, please use that link. Instant House Call is getting some fame, hopefully, at Wrigley Field. They'll have some advertising and things for bringing the most people to the show. So if you guys can help out with that, if you're going to be in the area, please feel free to come by and check it out. If you're going to the CompTIA ChannelCon in Chicago, join us for a Tech Nibble and Podcaster meetup Sunday, August 2nd at 5 to 7 p.m. Get a chance to mingle with the Podnutz, Tech Nibble, Mike Tech Show, the Computer Business Podcast, and Tech Vets communities. So the three people on this show right now will all be there in living color and be there to shake some hands and share some stories. So we're going to have a really good time, I think. Also, after the meetup, if you want to join us for a 10 o'clock that night, we're doing Escape from the Room with a real live zombie. Well, I think he's real live anyways. The tickets are $28. We need to get a count for how many people are going, so send me an email or go to itjetpack.com/connect to get your tickets. Yeah, we got. I think we've got one room that's almost filled up, and if other people want to be involved, now is the time to go ahead and get your tickets. So we make sure that everybody is able to do that. I think we can have up to 2 rooms right now. So. All right. Also, we had the Jetpack live show for the last 4 Mondays. Has been a great success. Got a lot of feedback from all the listeners out there. We also have the Jetpack live show number 5 is coming back Monday, September 14th at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Again, this is a show where you can meet fellow techs and business owners online, learn real ways to grow your IT business. You also hear tales from the trenches, learn sales and marketing tips you can actually use. You can also chat online during the show, and we've got some new things that you guys are going to be able to interact. So definitely check that out. Go to itjetpack.com. We'll have a link for that in the show notes. All right. So I think with all that being said, let's see. Mr. Rainey. I just realized these guys are both named Matt, and this is going to be an interesting show. So, Mr. Rainey, could you let us know what's been going on in your business lately?
It's been busy at my shop. Basically, summer is not good for my shop. All the vacations.
Oh.
So the work doesn't ease up usually. So when people are on vacation, we have to pick up slack. So it's been busy because one of the partners was gone for 2 weeks. Other people on vacation. So it's just been trying to hold down the fort and keep things moving and going while everybody's on vacation. And I'm keeping the trend going because I'm leaving tomorrow for Chicago. So now they'll have to hold down the fort while I'm gone. But it's a lot of the day-to-day stuff. Still seeing some crypto locker floating around a few places. That's always fun. Other than that, actually starting a lot of migrations. Still have people left on SBS 03 that we're trying to move off. So just normal day-to-day stuff, nothing unusual.
Now, are those still on-prem servers?
Yes. We move almost everybody to hosted exchange.
Okay.
Some people, depending on their size, will move to terminal servers hosted in the cloud. Some of them are still file servers on premises with hosted email. But yeah, it depends on their size and what they need. Some people, I haven't found, and that's one thing I'm going to be looking for at the CompTIA conference, is somebody that can have a good cloud-based file sharing solution that doesn't have all the problems of file conflicts and good security like a file server has. I don't like the solutions that are out there the way they work.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Yeah, it'll be interesting to meet some of the different people that do those businesses out there and see what we can find for our businesses. All right. I think with that being said, Mr. Rodela, what's been going on in your business lately?
Oh, keeping busy like everyone over the summer. For me, it's a little different. I'm still a one-man shop, so I don't have the employees to worry about taking vacation. But being in the National Guard, I had to go away for 2 weeks. So that was 2 weeks that I was pretty much away from my business. And that happens every year, but this was the first year where I had enough business where I had to bring on somebody to take on some of that load. So I subcontracted some of the work that I was doing. For those who don't know, I'm mostly doing WordPress consulting these days. So I found someone through Elance, and interviewed him, and he not only did he know his stuff, but he was also very easy to talk to and customer focused and friendly, and so I figured he would be someone who I can actually have interface with the clients if I needed to. But I just had him taking care of some ad hoc stuff while I was away, and he did a good job. That worked out. So I'm actually keeping him around, kind of in my back pocket to send overflow work to and stuff. So that's been going good. I've been also just still trying to figure out exactly how to optimize my WordPress business. I've been taken on by a couple of agencies who are subcontracting work to me, and one of them actually expressed interest in contracting me as their WordPress maintenance, kind of like a managed services for WordPress, because they have a bunch of clients that are on WordPress, and they struggle to maintain those websites. Because if you use WordPress before, it's a constant struggle of keeping it updated with the plugins and with WordPress, and then if a conflict arises, you have to take care of that and know how to take care of that. So that opportunity came up, and so now I'm just trying to figure out how to get some kind of infrastructure in place to handle that. So that's been interesting. New version of WordPress came out earlier this week to patch a security vulnerability. So it's like a must upgrade version of WordPress. So I've been scrambling to get all my clients upgraded, because those of them who don't get upgraded, a lot of them do end up getting malware or something on their WordPress website. So word to the wise, just whatever you do, always keep WordPress updated. And then just working on Tech Site Builder, trying to get that launched. It's been something that I've been working on for the last year, when I have some free time here and there. and it's all done. The only thing I'm still working through is the payment process for people who sign up, and then they got to pay, and that whole thing, there's still a couple kinks that I'm working through, and it's all on the plugin developer side. So I'm just waiting for those developers to get back to me. But once it's just a couple small kinks. I'm hoping to get it released this coming week, and then that'll be like a huge burden off my shoulders to finally get that out there. So that's what's going on here. Looking forward to Chicago.
All right, very cool. Yeah, Tech Site Builder, for those that don't know, I've been using since iteration 1.0, and that's when Steve Cherubino years ago made basically a HTML static web page for computer repair business owners to basically put up a page so that people could call you. And so he also developed Tech Site Builder 2, which was a WordPress iteration of the same thing, but it went a little deeper. You could add a blog to it and do some things there. And Matthew actually took that over and went with that and added some other SEO things in there and made it really, really nice. And it helped my business immensely. I think I had installed it, I want to say in February of 2014 was when I actually got around. I had owned it for like a year and a half, but it was the first time I got around to installing it. Now Matthew has went above and beyond that and has basically created a all-inclusive website that he is hosting, running. You basically put your information in there. You can go to my website, technutpc.com, and that is a Tech Site Builder website. Now, Granted, I have not done as many things as I'd like to do with the site as of yet, but it's got my basic information up there so that my customers can find me, find my number, see a beautiful picture of me sitting there smiling back at them.
That's all they need. That's all you need, really.
That's it. That's it. Sells itself, right? So, but no, it's a great product, and I definitely tell you guys, go ahead and check that out. I'm excited to see Matt get this released and kind of hit the ball running. And for all those people that don't want to mess around with the website, which I'm one, I don't want to mess around with the website. So I'll sit there and tweak it and put my information and stuff in there. And he's made it so easy to do everything you need to do, from testimonials to everything else, that it's dead simple. So if it's something you definitely don't want to mess with, it's great for your business. Definitely get involved with that and check it out. So hopefully we're gonna cross our fingers. Hopefully next week.
Yes. We know how that works, though, with software.
So we're looking at like August, September.
Don't jinx it.
No, it's like I've been using it. How long have I been using it? I've been using it for
a few months.
A couple months now, right?
Yeah.
And it works. I'm still getting customers, so
good.
It must be working.
Good. It's good to hear. Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So let's go ahead and get into a couple emails. We'll answer these questions and read a couple of these things, and then we'll get into our main topic. All right, and this is from our friend John Dubinsky. He says, I know the topic of what software tools do I need often, or what software's tools do I need often comes up on the show, and items like Repair Tech and D7 are mentioned all the time. These tools are fantastic, but come at a price. Some may not be willing to pay. Although mentioned before, I would like to give a shout out for UVK, or Ultra Virus Killer, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes. The name, while cool, is actually unfortunate, as it undercuts what this product does. While it is a tool that will help with virus removal and remediation, it is also great for the general stuff like that we do: maintenance, cleanup, optimization, updates, etc. With a branded interface, scripting, automation, and full support for a one-time fee of $50, it's tough to beat. My 2 cents, take it for what it's worth, John Dubinsky. Thank you for the email, John. And yes, definitely I've heard a lot of people talk about this product, and I'm definitely going to give it a whirl and see what's going on with that there. So, yeah, all the products you talked about are all great, but yeah, sometimes when we're starting off in this business, it's a little harder to give that money away each and every month till you get your business built a little bit.
Yeah, there's some good free tools out there to get started with. I think does D7 still have the free version?
I'm not sure. They've done a couple of different iterations, and I'm not sure what they have as far as like trials and different things like that.
Yeah, they used to have a free version. I think
right.
It's still out there, but it's not supported, so it's like
Okay.
using your own risk kind of thing.
Right.
So there's that out there. There's a bunch of free tools, and normally just the problem with the free tools is that you don't get support with them, and normally they're very focused. So you have to like patch together a bunch of these free tools to get an overall kind of all-inclusive repair suite. But when you're first starting out, it's and you don't have a lot of money to spend, it's worth it. And then later on, once you start getting enough clients rolling in, which it shouldn't take too long for you to get enough clients to be able to afford some of these repair tools, then you can upgrade. And so yeah, there's definitely a lot out there. Like one that I love that I still use is the Windows Repair from tweaking.com, the Windows Repair all-in-one.
Oh, yes.
That one I still use. It's so great because you can just pick the things that you want to repair, that something broke or something's just kind of funky, especially like after a virus removal or something like that. I love running that one.
Yep, that's a good tool too. Mr. Rainey, how about you? Use any of those tools out there?
Yes, I also like the tweaking.com one he just mentioned. But I want to say it's one thing about these products that you pay for is, let's not forget that these are tools we might need to make us more efficient, and these prices should be included in your price to the customer. So if you can't afford to buy the tool, let's say it's a $50 tool, you might need to raise your prices a little bit to cover the cost of that license, because you don't want to charge the bare minimum that you can't afford tools you need.
So So what you're saying is we shouldn't be doing $25 virus removals?
No, no. Pass that cost along to the customer. I'm not saying the whole $50, but remember when you're, and I think we'll talk about this later, when you're deciding what to charge, you need
Right.
to take into account tools that you're going to need that those costs is passed along to the customer.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's something we don't always think of. We just think of, the money in our pocket at that given time, but you got to count some of those costs. And yeah, anytime I needed a tool or whatever, I would buy a tool, and I've told people this before, that sometimes I would buy a tool when I needed it for a specific job, especially if it was a hardware tool, might have been a pair of crimpers or whatever. And I'd get that tool, I'd use it during that time, but then I could use it on the rest of my jobs. So I've told people this from the beginning. I've never spent my own personal money from my regular day job in my business. It just doesn't happen. My business pays for itself 100%. I mean, if I break even for a year, that was fine back in the day. But it's even just starting out, it always broke even, and I never paid for anything, out of my own personal stuff. So, all right, very cool. All right, so this is from Robert Revels. Says, Jeff, I just started listening to your podcast periodically about 6 months ago after getting my associate's degree in computer networking and continuing to take other IT classes, network security, and web design. I found out that if I moved into this field, the starting pay and benefits were a big negative hit. So I've been toying with the idea of starting an IT service repair shop on the side for roughly a year now. Listening to Podnutz, in your situation, helped me make the decision to move forward with this idea. In April, I filed my LLC. Like you, I have a full-time job with Ford Motor Company. I can also retire in 13 years at the age of 48 with full benefits, so having the side business also gives me something that I enjoy to do in retirement. I am not looking to become the next Geek Squad or Canton Computers. Oh, yeah. I also found out 2 weeks ago that the guy I've been listening to and is partially responsible for motivating me lives in the same city as I do. Little intimidating. Yeah, don't be intimidated. But would like to build a client list at a steady pace. I was hoping for some advice on this. I currently have one small business client that does look like it will bring in, or does not look like it will bring in other leads and close friends or coworkers that I do repair jobs for. Outside of putting up flyers and cold calls, do you have any other suggestions of how to bring in clients? Also, how do you handle helping clients while working at Ford Motor Company? The last thing I wanted to happen is a possible client call and I have to let it go to voicemail. Enjoy the show and the services. Thank you and Chris providing a weekly basis to other inspiring texts. Thank you for your time, Rob Revels. So that's well, Rob, I appreciate the email. It's great to have you in the area, and we'll definitely have to trade some stories here. But let's see. So as far as a business client, you always, once you do a good job for somebody, you just continue to do that good job, and eventually they're going to tell other people about it. And so word of mouth is going to be a number one way that you can get your name out there. It takes time. It's not instantaneous. Myself, I've used Google AdWords 100%. That's what I use to get in my new clients, and each and every month I still have new or older recurring clients that come back to me. So I'm still getting new clients using Google AdWords, and it works for me. What do you guys say to that?
I like that because it's kind of a set it and forget it, right? You set it up. How often do you need to go back and tweak and adjust your campaigns in AdWords?
It depends on what you're doing. I kind of go through the keywords probably every 3 months, and maybe I'll adjust my ad campaign. I only use one. I know you can use multiple ones. I don't. Mine's a specific message. I'm here to fix your computer. Here's my flat rate price for most fixes. Call me. I mean, That's pretty much it.
And it works for you.
Right.
That's cool. I've never actually used AdWords for my business. I don't know why. Just one of those things I never made the time or never found the time. But that's cool because it is like you set it up and then you just let it go and it's constantly bringing it, kind of like a website except a little bit better because you're always going to show up, in a good position in the search results. But yeah, that's cool. For me, what's worked for me has really been networking and getting out and meeting people, like the kind of clients I want to work with. So in my case, I was looking. It was a time when I was trying to transition more from residential to business clients, and so I just went around office to office, door to door, I guess you can say, to local, dentist offices and doctors' offices. There's a little medical suite nearby. I just walked up there and walked around door to door, talked to the receptionists in each of the small little offices, and just introduced myself, gave them my card, and said I'm available if they ever need any computer help. And I got a handful of good clients out of that, doctors' offices, business clients that I could have recurring work for. That worked out really well. Also, what's worked out well is to just get out there and meet people, look for networking events, look for even networking with other computer techs has worked out really well, because they might have some overflow work they can send you, or they might have a niche that they work on that they can take care of for your clients, and you have a niche that you work on that they don't work on that you can take care of. So really, computer techs have kind of the reputation of being, hermits, or just sitting in the computer room behind the computer all day, and it does benefit you. And not a lot of other computer shops in my area do this, is to go out and meet people and get in front of people, and they're more likely to take you on as a partner when they actually get to meet you, shake your hand, and know what you're all about in person. So that worked out really well for me.
Good.
Yeah, there are other clubs. I mean, people talk about the business networking, the BNI groups. Those are good. There's also other community clubs. Most communities have them, the Kiwanis Club, whatever they call them locally. I think Kiwanis might be national. But there are different community service clubs you can join. And just by joining that, you're going to get out and meet people. A lot of those people who join those clubs are young business people. Make connections with them. Now, he said that one business client that he has, he doesn't think he'll get any referrals from them, but you never know, because businesses, when they do business, have connections with other businesses.
Right.
So if one day they're talking about how their accounting's slow, and what do you use for that? Oh, well, here's my computer guy. If they're happy with you, anytime something comes up, they'll say, oh, why don't you call my computer guy? Here's his name and number. It's not that they're actively marketing for you, but as it comes up in conversation, if they're happy with your work, they'll pass you along.
Right.
That happens in business.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, there's definitely things you can do. The other thing I started doing is, when I'm out and about, even doing shopping, like, going to Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, a lot of times I'm wearing my polo shirt with my tag on it saying, I work on computers, and I catch people all the time. It's weird because I don't really pay attention, but other people apparently pay attention to labels on shirts. I don't know. So,
you're like, my eyes are up here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the other thing. The other thing that I have a wrap that I'm going to put on my windows on my vehicle. I just have not had a chance to do it yet. That's another way of advertising. And even when back in the day when I used to use magnets on my vehicle, I would get calls on the expressway. Hey, do you do any website work? Or, I'd be on my cell phone. Guys like, yeah, I'm like 3 cars behind you. I just see your sign and figured I'd call. So you never know where the work's going to come from, but there's definitely different ways to do it. Now, as far as handling clients while I'm at work, I don't. And here's what I had sent back in an email to Rob, is that basically, to be honest, most of my clients that I actually don't get back to until the next day, usually are my best paying clients that I never have a problem with, and they're patient, they're willing to wait, they don't need it yesterday like everybody thinks they do. So for me, a lot of times when I'm answering phone calls when I am around, what'll end up happening is a lot of people will call, and they're basically what I call tire kickers. And so a lot of people are calling about price, because I've already put my flat price on it, right? So if you're calling me and you're still asking a question about price, you're kicking the tires, you're kind of seeing, hey, is this something I want to do, or can I get it cheaper someplace else? So those are not my clients anyways. So I don't really care about those people in this business sense. Not that I don't care about them, but so for me, I'll definitely wait till the next day, give the person a call back or email them back or whatever, and that's how I kind of handle that. The other thing you can do is you can get a white label service like, Remote Support Tech Team, or, there's others out there too. But and they can answer your phone calls for you when you're not available and take care of some of your stuff, so that you always have that, you're always there. But when you're first starting off, until you get to the point where you literally can't handle it anymore, then it's time to probably either subcontract, pull in a white label service, or do something along those lines. Or, even get to the point where, a lot of us probably are at and hire somebody, but most of us are like deathly scared of it. So it's not something we want to let go of. So it all depends on the type of business you're doing too. Whether you're doing a big type of business, or you want to build it, grow it, or you want to stay the single, smaller technician shop and have that more one-on-one relationship. Like I said, I'm not interested in being, the next Best Buy or anything like that. That's not me. So, but yeah.
I think one thing, he said he didn't want them going to voicemail.
Yes.
It's a referral from some, and I think the remote support tech team is great. That's definitely an option. But if you're not going to do something like that, going to voicemail is not the end of the world for people, because if it's a referral, they're going to call you, they'll get your voicemail, and they'll wait for you to call.
Yeah.
Now, if they're just going down the phone book or going down the Google results and calling everybody, and then like I said, that's not somebody you were going to get anyway. They want the first available person. If it's a referral, voicemail is fine, as long as you call them back.
Exactly.
Wait 2 days to call them back.
Exactly.
Make sure your voicemail says something professional, and then we'll get back to you and get back to them.
Yeah, and I use a service called Grasshopper, which apparently just got bought out by Citrix, but that's another story. But they're basically a phone service, because I was using a free Google Voice number, which worked fine for years. But this gave me some more options where I could basically, if I had other people that I was working with, or my wife was taking phone calls, I can push the number to several different devices, phones, whatever. And so I've got a nice, voicemail on there. It says, hey, press 1 to talk to whoever, different things you can set up on there to make it sound professional. We'll get back to you as soon as we can, blah, 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 blah. So it's not my personal cell phone number that they're getting. It's actually my business line. And again, like I said, my best customers are the ones that wait till the next day when I call. That's just what I found. So the other ones, they're calling down the phone book. They're basically based on price a lot of times, and it's not worth it. So
yeah, and I take the same approach. And from the beginning, I wanted to make sure that I didn't put myself forward as the type of business that was going to be available at the drop of a hat, like you call me and I'm there, or I'm 24 hours, 7 days a week kind of thing. I don't want that kind of client. So I don't want to, foster that kind of attitude from my clients where they think they can call me and I'm going to answer right away, because I just don't have the capacity for that. So, that's fine that if it goes to voicemail, because that's probably the kind of client you want anyways, the kind of person who's not going to have all these fires that you need to put out right away.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because he is working a full-time job like myself, and so that does kind of change the nature of your business. But the reality is, even if you're in Mr. Rainey, you can tell me this, is this true or not, but even from the standpoint of basically you only have so many employees that can help people, and sometimes people go into a queue and they got to wait. It's not instantaneous.
Right, and that, of course, is the conversation to have with the client when you bring them on as a client, the response time, and are they a service agreement? What does that include? What does it not include? If you're not a service agreement, it's a best effort. You go in the queue and you get a call back when you have someone available. But in my instance, we have a receptionist. She takes all the calls. And even when she's on the phone, if she's got 3 or 4 lines ringing at once, it goes to voicemail. And then we just check the voicemail, or she checks it.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that makes sense. All right, cool. All right, so next email, I think we'll move on to this one. It says, this is from Dante Cozy. I'm a long time listener of Podnutz and Podnutz Pro, back from the original days with Steve Cherubino. Maybe this is a question for Chris and the rest of the PC experts. I guess I'm not an expert. No, I'm just kidding. Chris made mention of a program that he uses for encrypting hard drives as a service called Alert Brute for his MSP clients, and that he needs for HIPAA, financials, etc. I'm curious if he has been happy with that program. If yes, what did he like about it? If no, why not? What's the alternative that he has been offering instead? I have medical clients, HIPAA, that have a few laptop computers that need encrypting for HIPAA regulations. What are others using for this? I thought of using Windows BitLocker as well, but thought tracking would be an added feature that I think Alert Boot offers. This particular client has about 10 Windows 8.1 systems all in one and 4 Windows 7 laptops. I also have another client that will be needing this too. Dante, thank you for the email. And I know next to nothing about encrypting. I encrypted a drive back in probably 2005, and that was probably the last time I've ever done that. I really don't know. It's been a while, but what do you guys use for HIPAA compliance and in financials and stuff like that, or do you?
One encryption program that's pretty popular is CryptoLocker right now. That'll encrypt everything for you. Like, I'm just kidding.
That's a great one.
Actually, we don't have any clients that encrypt things. If I was going to encrypt something, my first thought would probably be to look at the Microsoft BitLocker.
Okay.
But we don't do that right now.
All right.
We don't have any clients that request it or need it.
Gotcha. What about you, Mr. Rodela?
Yeah, sorry, I don't really have experience in that realm.
Well, I'll tell you what. When Chris comes back on the show next
Yeah.
week, we will actually not next week. I'm sorry, we'll all be in Chicago. When Chris comes back on the show the week after that, we will. I'll bring this question up and we will ask this question again to see what he's been using. I don't know that he's been using it as much. I know he'd looked at it for a while and had used it on a few clients' machines, but again, I'm not sure. I know a lot of people are still using the older TrueCrypt and stuff like that, but personally, if I'm going to do something, and I think this falls within the realm, I'm not 100% sure, but I think BitLocker will cover a lot of your HIPAA and FINRA and all that kind of stuff that you need to do. So and it's already there as long as you got Pro and above, right?
I think it's is it included on 8.1 Pro, or is it only Enterprise? I know Windows 7 it was just Enterprise, I believe.
Was it? Okay. You know what? I've been running Ultimate for so many years on all my machines. Ultimate, Ultimate's got all that stuff in there, so I've played around with it. But I think I encrypted my drive one time, and then somehow I messed up the password and kind of freaked myself out. So after that, I unencrypted it.
Well, I have a question about this. So are they having to encrypt this because the data is on the laptop?
See, yeah, that I'm not sure. It's one of those things.
On the server, it's on the laptop. So when they take the laptop out of the office, it has to be encrypted.
That's a good point. Actually, I can't imagine that there would there be a good use case scenario for that scenario where somebody is using a laptop that has medical records and different things on there?
It shouldn't. It shouldn't be the laptop. It should be the server. I mean, we have a lot because we have medical clients, and most of them have a terminal server. And if they're out of the office, they have a VPN client that they connect to, and they connect to the terminal server, run the application on the terminal server, or a lot of the medical records are being hosted by the hospital that they're partnered with. So they have a VPN that they use to run their program with, so the medical records aren't on their system, they're on the hospital system.
That's a good point. Yeah, so you might not even need the encryption depending on what you're doing. And again, there's a whole bunch of things that you have to look into when looking at that stuff. That's why I've really kind of shied away from it and just it's not something I want.
And that's why we don't do it, because there's no data directly on the if the computer got stolen, there's no data on it. I mean, we can change the password, or
there shouldn't be data on it anyways, right?
They shouldn't be data.
Just to be clear. All right, very cool. All right, yeah, we'll bring that back up again. All right, fourth email says, this is from Michael Pease. It says, I was listening to your show, and near about the 50 minutes mark, you started talking about managed services. Would you be willing to discuss your model that you use and the prices that you charge per PC, per office? I really would like to transition from break-fix to managed services. This is also small-town USA, so most businesses have 3 or 4 PCs. Thank you and love the show, Michael Pease. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. And Yes, my model, and this was from actually a Podnutz Daily Show, but I figured I would bring it here because a lot of people are always interested. So I'm constantly changing my model of my managed services. And basically what I explained to him is, number one, you're not really, people don't really transition from break fix to managed services. It doesn't really happen because anything outside of the scope of your managed service, you're still going to do break fix. So it's still part of the whole thing. And I think people need to understand that. Is there, there's a fine line between the two. You're still doing, I look at managed services as an add to my business, not really a if this or that type thing. Okay, so for my particular situation, everybody knows I charge $89 flat for a virus removal, and that's if you bring it to me or if I do it remotely. If I have to go out, my prices change, travel charges, all that. So with that being said, I charge $125 for 6 months of my managed service. And if you want to pay for a full year, you can get it for $50 cheaper at $200 for the year. And then that's a recurring payment either every 6 months or once a year. So what I'll do is if a person needs a virus removal and we decide to put their managed service on there, it's $89, and I'll let them know for an extra $36 we can cover this computer, virus free and all that stuff for the next 6 months.
So what services does that manage that service entail? Is that just viruses or is that other stuff?
So it depends on how you're setting up. So mine is it's doing the updates. It's doing, it's an antivirus. It's a web filtering. It's all the things that you need to keep, for most residential people to keep their computers, well, even business people, to keep their computers clean, up and running, updated without them having any interaction whatsoever.
And do you do that monthly or quarterly?
As far as what?
Running those optimizations.
No, they're daily.
So you have, what I'm guessing is you have an agent that's running on your computer that does patch
Gotcha.
web filtering. That sounds like GFI with the web filtering.
GFI, or we're using Enable right now, but yes,
Okay.
GFI, same thing. So yeah, it's basically just enough to, I've looked at different situations, and basically what I've come down to is that to offer a antivirus, there's some out there that are kind of like, you really need the Internet Security Suite, and it's like I really have a hard time. I'm testing out a couple different ones. I'm having a hard time going, okay, this is only going to solve part of the problem, because the reality is if you're not patching Windows, if you're not patching Java, if you're not patching Adobe Reader, if you're not patching all these things that need to be patched on a regular basis, you're still open to viruses and everything. So it's not really a great situation for you. But some people don't want to spend, whatever it is, 15, 16 bucks a month to make sure that their computer is up and running all the time. It all depends on what you're doing with it. Yeah. And I'm more than happy, to be honest with you, if a person wants to bring it back to me, once a year or whatever, and, by the time I get it, the machines are so messed up that, it takes a super cleaning to get it cleaned, and, they're without it for a few days. Whereas if you have a managed service, they're just up and running all the time. I just had a customer, and I was calling about a renewal, and they asked me, and said, well, I don't really think I've used this service over the last year. I said, well, that's a good thing, because it means my managed service is doing what it's supposed to do, because before you were bringing all kinds of viruses and everything in, and stuff I was having to clean up. So, but yeah, so those are basically what I charge for my managed services. You can do it any way you want. I'm trying to get it in as many residential people's hands as possible, but I've still got to make it make sense for my business. And so I don't want to do a really inexpensive one where I'm only partially protecting them, but not really protecting them as best I could. And it's still never going to be 100%.
Right. It'll never be 100%. So if somebody gets infected, they call you, and you sell them on the managed service. If they get infected every 3 weeks, you're cleaning up for free for the length of the contract, right?
Correct. But here's the thing. It's literally less than, 0.00001%. And, yes, you might have that bad client that you're going to have that for, but, when it comes to renewal time, you don't renew them.
That service has been discontinued. The new price is right. $800 for the year.
Exactly. So, there's definitely different ways to do it, but for most people, it does what it needs to do. they're not calling me asking me about questions about, hey, this little thing popped up, should I update it? And most
But they
people
could, right? Is that included in your agreement? I
what's
mean,
that?
whenever managed service, is it just that you say I'm going to do patch management, I'm going to do cleanings, I'm going to provide the antivirus client.
Right.
So can they call you for anything they want, or
No.
since it's outside the scope of those specific things, it's not
Right.
included? If the hard drive crashes,
Right. As a matter of fact, if you look at my agreement, and I can share that with whoever wants to see it. If you look at my agreement, there's the list on the top of what it does cover is about half the size of the list on the bottom of what it doesn't cover.
yeah, because that's important because a lot of times clients will assume that it covers things that
Right.
it doesn't, and then of course they get upset when their hard drive crashes, and you say, okay, well it's going to be this much and this much. Well, I have your managed service. Yeah, but it doesn't cover that.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. If you have it clear what it does and doesn't cover, that's what's important for people to understand.
Well, and I'll be honest with you. So somebody had gotten the, and I don't know what happened with his particular machine because he's had some pretty nasty viruses over the years. But, he got the CryptoWall 3.0, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna clean it up, and I'm gonna take care of it, but your data's gone. There's there's nothing I can do at this point. Either you pay the ransom and maybe get it back, or you go back to your backups and try to pull that information down. So fortunately for him, there wasn't a whole bunch of things on there that he absolutely needed, and he had some stuff backed up on another laptop. He was able to do that. So it's still
the
happening.
managed service client.
Yes.
Okay, and then a good time to say, hey, we can do the managed backup add-on to your service.
Exactly. Exactly. And they were all approached with that. It's just again, it's one of those things. Nobody wants to back their stuff up. And I've heard stories after story that, people that even have been hosed 3 times, by the 3rd time they're kind of like, yeah, maybe I should pay for that service. Really? You just figured that out now.
Yeah. Now, the antivirus, I mean, I tell everybody the antivirus is, there's no perfect antivirus.
No.
If there was, everyone would be on it. But
And I wouldn't get anything in my shop.
right, and the antivirus is like a food line. It protects you against some strange, but not all strange. And so, like well, I use GFI because I know that GFI uses the Viper engine. They also have a new version that is using the Bitdefender engine.
Yes. Yep.
But that's not going to cover everything. And a lot of these crypto locker viruses come through HTTPS traffic or through
Right.
email. So I mean, it's very hard to stop this HTTPS traffic. Your router is just going to pass it right through. I don't care what kind of router you have, unless you have well, I know WatchGuard, you can do a deep packet inspection. You can actually decrypt the HTTPS traffic, look at it, re-encrypt it, and send it back to the client so it can look at that. But most routers are just going to pass that stuff right through.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always I've used things like OpenDNS on my network, and I've never had a problem as of yet. And I've got, I've had 5 kids.
And OpenDNS isn't going to look at inside HTTPS traffic.
No.
Right.
But
it'll say it's coming from here, so it might be this. But if it was coming from somewhere good, it would pass it through because it's not looking at what's in the packets.
Either I've been really, really, really lucky to never get anything like that, or I must be doing something right because I'm just like it's been like this for years.
Well, you're a smart user, right? And that's the weakest point in all of this. Is always user error. And if someone's doing stuff that's going to get them a virus, it doesn't matter what kind of antivirus you have or what kind of firewall you have. If they click the link that says, yes, I want to get this, download it on my computer, it's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know what's actually safer is go into your internet browser and disable search from the address bar. Because they'll go to Fox, they'll just type in the search bar, Microsoft.
Oh, that's a good tip. Yeah,
there'll be a list. If you just type in the wrong address and you turned off search on the address bar, it's just going to page not displayed. So I turn off searching from the address bar because I don't want them typing just random text in the address bar and picking the list from the list of results.
Wow. Okay. That's a good point because we were just talking about this the other day that everybody does their searches, or basically nobody types in an email address, right? Or I mean they don't go to Google.com. They go to the search bar or whatever, and they type in Google.
And they think the address bar is a search bar.
I know. It's terrible. It's terrible.
So yeah, I mean I turn it off, and then they say I can't go to my websites. I say, well, then show me what you're doing. You didn't type, you didn't type
Type in
the.
the actual website URL.
All
But that's
right.
where I find a lot of people get in trouble is searching for things. You're looking for trouble
Yep.
when you do those searches.
So hopefully, yeah, man, I was just looking at some of the stuff in the chat room, and Matthew Rodela had said that managed services vary from area to area, and it all depends on what you're doing. I think for most people, what I'm really trying to do for my particular business, and I've tried to figure this out, is how to get in the most residential hands that I possibly can. Again, because and the reason I don't mind doing free virus removals, to be honest, is that because anytime I've ever set up a good base on a computer, like even when I get a computer a year and a half, almost 2 years later, because I cleaned it up so well and set some things in place the first time, the second time dealing with that computer is so much easier. And so, be that what it may, I mean, people are still going to get infected, the day, really, a lot of times from the, a couple days after they leave your shop, and because they're doing what they do. And it's unfortunate. So there is no 100%, but yeah, we try to do what we can I just want to protect as many people as I can, but I've got to make it worth my while. And for me, a lot of those, because they just do sit there and just do their job, it is worth my while, because there's not a whole lot of interaction. Now, every once in a while you get the customers where you're like, oh my gosh, stop going to that website, please. Ugh.
But that's my main website that I go to, Jeff.
Yes, I
Can't stop
know.
going to that one.
I know. So stop it. All right. So next email. All right. So let's see. It says, "Hi guys, I love the show and was so excited to find a podcast that was focused directly related to my business. I began running an IT side business back in 2011 and made the big push last year to do it full time with a combination of break fix, MSP, and home automation. All right. I have had some bumps in the road trying to scale up, as I'm also a reservist in the Air Force and don't feel comfortable enough to go full MSP and then be gone for training for 2 weeks. So that has taken some luck and trial and error with clients. If you could answer 2 questions, that would be great. First, how do smaller companies go about being out of the office for vacation or conferences? Second, how should I start monetizing email services better? I'm a reseller with GoDaddy and can sell email as is through them and receive commissions, but what I want to do is provide support to my clients and more direct control, like adding users, aliases, out of the office reply. Should I charge a per user per month fee or try a different service like the Office 365 or GFI Mail Essentials? Thanks for doing what you do, Kyle G." Thanks for the email, Kyle, and good job on starting full-time in your business. And what do you guys have to say about how do you take vacations?
A lot of small businesses don't take vacation or go to conferences, and that's just part of being a small business. You have to have somebody that's going to take the work for you, and that's unfortunately how it is a lot of times.
Right.
Working for yourself, especially a one-man shop, you're going to work longer hours, more days, less time for yourself.
Now, Matt, that used to be true, but it's not anymore for me, because I just raised my prices and I make the same amount of money, but I don't work as hard as I used to.
Right. Once you get to that point, so I'm saying, yeah. So maybe I should clarify. Start it off, right? Trying to get the business, and then once you've got too much, then the best way to prune it is to raise your rates.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and that's the experience I had, because, like I said, I got to do the National Guard thing, so I have to be away for 2 weeks in the summer. I have no choice. So the first couple years after I started my business full time, and I'd go away for 2 weeks and I'd come back, I would have a dry spell because I'd lost that momentum. And that momentum is really key when you're first starting out, is to have the momentum of getting clients and helping them out, and then it's a constant. You're constantly hustling, and if you stop, you're going to notice a dip in your business. And I really don't have a good good remedy for that. So, like Matt said, I mean, when you're first starting out, you just have to suck it up and not take any time off. And if you do take time off, just know that you're going to probably have a dip in your clients afterwards, and you just got to plan for that. These days, like I mentioned earlier in the show, these days I'm able to. Luckily, I have a lot of recurring clients, so I can talk to them and I can tell them, hey, I'm going to be away, and so just let me know everything you got going on now. I'll take care of it now, and then after the 2 weeks, I'll take care of everything that happened during those 2 weeks. And a lot of the clients, because I seek out those type of clients who aren't going to have the big emergencies that I have to take care of right away, it usually works out okay. And then this year was the first year I actually had to offload some of that work to a subcontractor, and that's another thing you could look into. Just make sure you're looking for that subcontractor before you plan on taking the vacation, because you want to have a chance to vet them. You want to have a chance to let them do some work for you first to make sure it's okay before you actually disappear and leave your clients in their hands. So that would be my other piece of advice on that.
And one thing you can do is just to make sure that you take the approach with the clients. Since I am going to be gone for 2 weeks, and I would throw in 2 weeks serving my country, that way they can't. It's hard to get upset with you.
I do let them know why I'm going to be gone, so they just don't think I'm taking off on them for
right.
any reason.
Yeah, I'm going cruising on a motorcycle across the country. No, I'm going for 2 weeks serving my country. So let's be more proactive with your computer system. Let's make sure we're doing patch management. I have a service agreement here. I have this agent. We can do patch management. We can make sure your antivirus is updated on it. Things you can do. Tell them to be proactive, so that when you are gone, things are hopefully taken care of. And it's good, of course, to get with them before you leave, see any outstanding issues. And I was in the Air Force, active duty, for 4.5 years, and National Guard for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. Depending on where you're deployed for your 2 weeks. I know where I was deployed when I was gone for 2 weeks. I was Air Force, we love hotels, okay? So I was usually in a hotel. So usually when I would not on shift, I had internet access. I had a computer. I know in my case, when I was deployed for 2 weeks, I could have worked after hours, sometimes during the day, depending on what shift I was on. So I could get back to clients then if I needed to, or connect to their servers or computers and do whatever needs to be done if it's an emergency.
Yeah, working vacations is a thing that's pretty much gonna be a reality for you if you're running a computer business. Every vacation's never going to be truly vacation away from your clients, because you're going to have that temptation to check your email and you're and answer those emails, and you want to be there for your clients. So it's just kind of a reality.
I don't know, man. Just step away from the phone, set it down, don't pick it up, don't I've gotten to the point where I'm like, yeah.
Especially if you're doing business clients, you don't want one of your business clients calling the day after you leave and saying their server crashed.
Right.
You check that voicemail 2 weeks later. You definitely want to have them back. So that's the kind of thing. Keep the warranties under service agreement with the HP or Dell, whoever. So if something does go wrong, a hard drive fails, that you can work with Dell or HP or wherever you get a dispatcher tech on site, replace the drive, replace the motherboard, whatever it needs. But yeah, keep everything under a service agreement with the manufacturer. Be proactive in the setup.
Well, and I think we can look at things like trading services, right? Because if you think about it, if you can find a reputable tech in your area, and I know some people are weird about this. I to this day I have no idea why. It's like, okay, you're not gonna be national superstar, have everybody's business. It just doesn't work that way. Get over yourself. But for those that can work together, I mean, you can do kind of a trade agreement. Hey, I'm going on vacation. If anything comes up, can I push these customers to you and have you take care of them? And then when you go on vacation, you can push your customers to me and I'll take care of them. We have an agreement where we're not going to steal each other's customers or anything like that. I mean, the last thing I want is, number one, it's like this. Think about this in any cheating relationship, right? If a person's going to leave to come to another person, why wouldn't I ever think that person's just going to leave when they get tired of me? I mean, I'm just being honest.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
The only problem with that is you can say to whoever you're making this agreement with, I'm not gonna poach your customers. But let's say you go in. Let's say they go on vacation. You go take care of their client. And I've had this happen before. In my instance, the guy was on vacation. He was an in-house IT person, and so we were helping him when he was on vacation. So I would go over there, and for a specific issue, fix the issue, and they say, oh, while you're here, this hasn't been working for 2 years, and he can't fix it. Can you look at it? thinking, okay, well, it's not really what I'm saying. Okay, let's show me what it is. Show me what it is. I fixed it in about 30 seconds. And they said, are you kidding me? So then they gave me a whole list of things that this person wasn't able to fix that he just put off. I fixed them all like in 2 hours. Now, I'm not trying to steal their customer, but from their point of view, they're like, why do we have this guy when he can't fix anything? Why don't we call his company, just outsource his company, instead of having to deal with this person in-house? So you could have that kind of thing where you go behind somebody and correct things. Now they want you, they don't want him. So
That's true. That's true. Just say no.
I'm sorry, you have to deal with you.
Yeah, let the client be the ones to say, we're going to stop using this guy and start using you or whatever, and then that's on the guy that you partnered with, because he didn't take care of his clients.
And and to be honest, so even in that situation, so this guy couldn't take care of these situations for 2 years or whatever it was, and so maybe that's not his area of expertise. Maybe that's not the
But
type.
in his case, it wasn't. But I can see a generic statement where. But that's the thing. Some people are scared of it because they don't want somebody coming behind them, and you don't know what. You don't know. Just it may work fine, just maybe work differently. So this person might come in. He sets up one thing one way. He has it set up another way, and he makes comments of why is it set up this way. Then the client assumes that it's wrong when it's not really wrong. It's just different. I guess in that case, you'd have to say the agreement was you won't actively poach other clients.
That's a good point.
Because while they may like you more than him,
right?
But that's still a danger either way. If
it is. It is. So yeah, because it is like you said though, it's hard. You can't leave a business client hanging, right? Because they run their business on a day-to-day basis. Just you being gone for a couple weeks, maybe that's not the type of business you should be doing then. Stick to the stuff that you can do where you don't take vacations, or you actually have employees that are able to take care of that stuff, because you have more control over, to a certain extent, you have more control over an employee, right, than you do a subcontractor or a partnership of some sort.
Yeah, you can fire them, but they'll just go up on their own. Your competitor.
They're just going on their own and badmouth you and take all your business, right? Okay.
And that happens. I mean, you can have employee working for you that does terrible work, and you have to let them go, and then they talk bad about you, and then it's he said, she said, or he said. It's hard to keep everybody happy all the time.
It is. And again, I'm only looking for the happy customers that want to work with me. If you don't want to work with me, yeah, I'll send you business to somebody else in the area. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter to me. Look. There's a tear. Yeah, no tears.
And that's the luxury you have when you have the part-time business, and that's a big reason to keep it that way, because you can really just take on the clients you want, and no big deal either way.
Well, I think there is some sort of I think I joke about it a lot of time, because everybody knows I do have a full-time job that takes care of my regular bills. But even at the same time, there's certain things that I still wouldn't do. I wouldn't, because I don't enjoy them. I'm not going to deal with people that don't like me or I don't like them. It doesn't make any sense to me. When you wake up in the morning, if you're sitting there and going, and your heart's palpitating, 500 miles an hour because you got to go see XYZ client, I'm sorry, that's just, to me, that is not worth it. I would say, see XYZ client, go to somebody else, and you know what? There's always more business out there, and there's always more people coming in all the time.
Or you have a rate change for client XYZ. So wouldn't make your heart go that way?
That's true.
And if they want to leave, they can leave.
That's true. I like that. Yes, and I've actually done that before.
Yeah, I've done that too, and actually the clients that give me the biggest headaches end up being the ones that are willing to pay more. So it works out. They're I guess a lot of times they're very very nitpicky, or very hover over your shoulder, make sure you're doing everything they asked you to, and those type of people also tend to be the type of people that don't have a problem putting more money into something that gives them the result they're looking for. So that's been at least my narrow experience of those types of clients. So that does work. That's definitely something that's worth exploring, is raising your rates for those clients that are giving you the biggest headache.
And it's common from from my experience that if you're working for businesses, your rate's not the same all the time for all the clients.
Right.
It's just not. I mean, home users, you might have $89 virus removal. That's pretty much the same for every client. For home client, for business clients, you don't want to put your price on the website or advertise because it's going to be different. Each client, depending on what, there's a lot of different factors. But I mean, I know we have probably 4 different rates. Some clients are on one, some are on another. So it just depends. I mean, don't have any issues about raising your rates if you need to.
That's
Because then when that client calls, you can say, "Oh, good, they're calling me. That's an extra
more money in my pocket.
$150 an hour, $175 an hour, whatever it is."
You know, we used to have a saying at work. You know, you come in and you know you're making whatever. You know, let's say you're making $150 an hour, and you're like, man, I would shovel crap all day long at $150 an hour. I just don't care. You know, so I mean, in that sense, it does make sense that people would go, yeah, I can deal with that bad client when they're paying my rate. All right, so let's get into our last topic of the day. Those are all the emails. Appreciate everybody's emails. Keep them coming. We love answering them on the show. Also, you can call in. The 1-800 number is there for you, right in the bottom of my screen. All right, so the topic of today, and this has been a hot topic, and I've seen it come back up, and even in some of the social media and stuff like that. And it basically is, how much should you charge? And how much should you charge in order to make a living that you want to make? Because I see a lot of people, they're running around like a chicken with their head cut off, and they're, you know, they have to have so many clients because a lot of times they're not charging enough. And so that's the reason they're working, you know, however many hours a week and only making, you know, sometimes, you know, a little bit over minimum wage. And that's not a place that you want to be, especially in this business. You got in a business to, you know, be your own boss, to help people, and do something that you enjoyed. And most of us started off enjoying the business. I still get people that make fun of my tagline today. You know, my tagline is fixing computers because it's fun. Well, I can tell you today that that's not always the case. It's not always fun. It gets old after a while. You're doing the same things over and over again. It's like any other job. Now, I've become more proficient at it. So, you know, back in the day when I would, you know, spend 6, 7, 8 hours on a customer's machine, that was fine. I was enjoying the time. I was learning, you know, but that time eventually goes away, and you actually have to do. You got to make money where it makes sense in your business so you can grow your business and you're able to help the clients to the best of your ability. So Matt on his site, Matthew Rodela, came up with a how much should I charge calculator. And I'm going to put a link in the show notes to that. And I was messing with it. I was probably a few months back. I'd seen it a couple times, and I kind of put my numbers in and kind of said, okay, if I want to make what I'm making today in my day job, and, you know, by the time I've got business expenses, I've got taxes, all these different things, he makes a really easy calculator you can use, and then you can figure out how many jobs you would have to do and what you would have to charge. And I encourage everybody to do that because I think what's going to happen is you're going to look and see that you're not charging what you should be charging. So, Matt, why did you come up with this calculator? You know, was it to help yourself in the beginning?
Yeah, exactly. That, I mean, when anyone starts out in this business, that's always the biggest question: is how much should I charge? And you're worried that, you know, if you charge too high, then you're not gonna get any clients, and you scare away any kind of client that you need, and you need the clients when you first start out, and then but of course you also want to be making a living probably at this, or make enough money to at least, you know, pay yourself back in the business and make all your effort worthwhile. So this calculator I developed right when I was going from part-time to full-time, so I can decide, you know, how much I should charge so that I could replace my full-time corporate job earnings with the computer business, because that is the ultimate goal. So I put it together, and you basically put in a bunch of numbers like how much do you want to make a month, what are your business expenses, and I did this specifically for people who are going from a corporate job to a computer business. So I asked, like, what kind of benefits did you get in your job? Let's take those into account. and then we talk about, you know, how what's your average time that you spend per customer, and then how many customers do you have per week, and that gives you kind of an idea, and those are numbers you can play around with, right? So all of the other numbers are pretty much fixed, right? The desired income, how much you want to take in because of all your bills and stuff, that's pretty much fixed. Your business expenses will be pretty much fixed. Everything is fixed, and then the thing that can fluctuate is how many customers you have. So what happens is you punch in all those numbers, and then it spits out how much you should be charging. So if you end up, you know, it spits out a number like $350, and you're like, that might be a little bit too much to charge per hour. Then you adjust your customers, right? You might need to take on more customers, or try to optimize your process so that you spend less time per customer. And those are things you can play around with on the calculator to get the kind of the perfect balance between all that stuff.
Excellent. And Mr. Rainey, how do you come up with a price that you're going to charge your customers?
By how aggravating they are? No. No. Well, I can say with this. Our business was started in 1995. And now I wasn't there then. I didn't start until 2001. But what I think happened for them is they charged what pretty much the other people in town were charging.
Okay.
I don't think they came up with any. They didn't have a formula like this. And I don't really think that they knew how much they wanted to make. A lot of people just starting don't maybe not know that. They just know they want to do computer work. It's good to have those numbers. It's good to have those numbers for the calculator, because you should know the stuff to know if you can pay your bills. But they just charge what was common in the area, and over time the rate's gone up. As our expenses have increased, brought in more employees, needed better tools, our rates have gone up over the years. And I think we probably do a rate increase once every year or two, probably maybe 2 years.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think there was any calculation.
But so your company in particular did not come in and say, okay, we're going to undercut everybody here in town.
No, you don't want to do that. That doesn't. I don't like that approach, because then you're shopping for the people who are looking only for price.
Right.
And I don't like that. Because
yeah, I'm all about
terrible clients.
Quality versus as opposed to quantity. If you start, you know, if you start competing on price and trying to be the lowest price in town, then you're going to have to make up for, you know, that with just getting as many clients as possible. And when you start playing the numbers game, then you start taking on any kind of client, and you start taking on those headache clients just because you need them in order to pay the bills, because you're charging so low. So I always, even when you're first starting out, you know, you might have to take on some clients that you aren't ideal, but just always strive for quality, trying to get the clients that you work best with, that fit your you know, services and business model the best, and that will pay you what you know, a rate that isn't the lowest in town. You know, I say look at what everyone else around you is charging, and then use that as your starting point, and then go up from there. Don't use that as something that you have to beat. I use that as a starting point.
And it might depend on the skills that you or your company has. Do you know terminal services? Do you know these business class routers, or are you just a tech that's comfortable doing 3 or 4 or 5 computers with a home-based router, and their needs aren't very high, so you wouldn't be able to charge as much. So it depends on your skills and what you can bring to the customer for your price as well. Well, I like the calculator, because the calculator is very good for somebody like in your position, who would need to say, if I wanted to go full-time, how much would I need to make?
Right.
Exactly. It seems like a very good tool for that. Somebody who just started off may not. It may be good for them to know, but they might just say, you know, I don't care what I'm making. I'm just going to do it. Right? For somebody who's just starting, maybe they still live with their parents. Maybe their living expenses. They don't have any kids. They don't have a mortgage, so their expenses are a lot less. This is very good for somebody who is definitely thinking about making a change to this business, or really it could be used for any business, right? Not just computer work. If you want to be a plumber, you want to be an electrician, the numbers will work no matter what you want to do.
Right. Exactly. Well, and one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is, there are three aspects to business. And when you look at any type of business, you can be the fastest person in town, you can be the cheapest person in town, or you can be the most quality person in town. Whatever XYZ business that you're using, right? Now, the thing is, what a lot of us, and I'm guilty of it, I tried to do all three, right? The reality is, pick one. You're only going to be good at one. You're not going to be good at two. You're not even really. You're never going to be good at three. You might have maybe one and a half, but the reality is, most people where they start off is I'm going to be the cheapest person in town. I'm going to beat everybody else out. And after a while, you go, whoo, I could go to McDonald's and make more money than I'm making right now. This just sucks. And then so you kind of move into that. Okay, now because you still have the quality work, because most of us actually care about what we do. So you've got the quality work with the cheapest price, okay, which is taking you a lot of times forever. And so you're not, you're trying to do a 24-hour turnaround, but then you're getting driven nuts because you've got all these other things you have to do with, family, just living, day-to-day life. And so you have to come to a point where you're going to pick one. If you're going to be the cheapest person in town, that's fine. But, you can't be the cheapest, fastest, and the most quality person in town. So what I did was I got rid of cheapest. I'm not the cheapest person in town. And I got rid of I'm not the speediest person in town. Where my bread and butter is quality. Okay? Because if you go to another big box store and you take your computer there, good luck in seeing that computer in less than 2 weeks. Good luck. Sometimes maybe you'll get it back in a week, whatever. So if I take 2 to 3 days to get a customer's computer back, it is what it is. But you know what? When they get it back, it's done right. And they're not coming back to me. And they paid whatever my rate was, and they're perfectly fine with that. Again, if you ever want to pay a rush rate, people can do that too. And you charge a higher rate.
Some people also call it the ransom.
The ransom rate. If you'd like to pay the ransom, we can get it back to you quicker. So yeah, but would you guys agree with that? I mean, you're never going to be all three things, and people really got to realize that. And like I said, I want to be the quality guy.
Yeah, if you could teach clients that'd be nice. Unfortunately, a lot of clients are unreasonable, and that's just part of life, and you have to just deal with them on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, in corporate America, I remember when I used to work in corporate IT, it was always you can pick 2 of those, right? Because in a big enterprise, you have the resources to at least be good at 2 of those. So you can either be fast, be quality, or be the cheapest. And they give some examples like McDonald's. They're cheap and they're fast, but the quality ain't that great.
Right.
And then you talk about like a Ruth's Chris Steakhouse or something, and the quality's great, but it's definitely not the cheapest, and sometimes not even the quickest. So yeah, in the corporate world, you can pick 2, and then when you're just a tech starting out, or a solo tech, or a very small business, I definitely think you should just focus on one. 9 times out of 10, you probably want to focus on quality, because that's what's going to get you the clients, and that's what's going to get you the good clients. You could focus on speed, but that's really hard to sustain. And it helps if you have people working for you. If you're just a solo person, you're eventually going to drop the ball, and then you're going to let your clients down because you said you were going to be the fastest, and then something happened and you had to go to the hospital or something, and then you dropped the ball on that one. And then price, of course, if you're doing this part-time, or you're a college kid or something like that, you're just trying to get experience, that's a good thing to focus on. Make your price low, and then you can just get experience. Once you're ready to do this seriously, I think the best way to go is to focus on quality.
Right. The only thing sustainable is quality. You can't keep the fastest all the time. You can't be the cheapest all the time. But you can always maintain your level of quality. Fast, you're going to be burning yourself out, working nights, working weekends.
Yep.
Cheap, you'll be doing too much work. So yeah, the only thing sustainable is quality. And the client as fast is terrible. I've had clients bring me a computer at 5 in the afternoon. You know what? Don't worry about it. I don't need it till tomorrow.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Oh,
Like you
tomorrow
have nothing
morning.
better to do, right?
Oh no, yeah, that's what I'm thinking about in particular. He brought up me Friday at 5. He said, "Take your time. I don't need back to Monday morning at 8." I said, "You know we close. I mean, I'm only here so you can drop the computer off. We're closed until Monday morning at 8." Oh, so when I get it back, I tell you after I look at it, I'll give you an estimate. I'll look at it Monday morning at 8.
I figure you just don't sleep and you just spend all night working on computers.
Right. Yeah, you have
Yeah.
nothing better to do, right?
Yep.
You know, and I understand what your corporate motto was there, Mr. Rodela, but you know, so I even look at things a little bit deeper now, and I go, if you look at McDonald's, and when I take my family there, it is no way in the world cheap. It is not the cheapest meal that you can actually. The only thing they have going for them really is they're quick. Their prices suck because you're paying like 10 times plus for what I can make a meal for. It's ridiculous. So I look at some of those things and I go, I really look at businesses, a lot of them, and really they're good at one thing, and whatever that one thing is. But it's never a combination of all three. Absolutely. So, all right. So back to, you got to figure out not only how much to charge, but you got to figure out what you're worth. What's your time worth? You know, and that's what I really had to start looking at when I was looking at things of how can I make enough money, and not just from a standpoint of making money, but how can I feel good about the amount of money I'm making? In other words, if I'm going to sit down and tear apart a laptop and get paid $5 an hour for tearing apart that laptop, I will put that laptop aside, go sit down, and play a video game or watch a show. Because at that point, it's just not worth it to me. So I had to figure out how much money do I want to make, doing the task. And really, I've even had a problem with this where I've looked at how much time I spend doing something, and my wife laughs at me all the time. She says, how long is that project going to take? And I say, it'll only take about 2 hours. She goes, so 4, right? Because apparently I am a bad judgment of time.
Yeah, and I think the way I found works for me is when there's a particular service that I'm offering, I'll start off offering it for an hourly rate, and just my standard hourly rate, whatever that happens to be. And then over time, as I get experience with that and I optimize the process for that particular task, then I might end up offering that as a flat fee. And I strive for offering flat fees for my clients because it just makes the interaction so much easier. You tell them what it's going to cost, they know ahead of time, so you're not saying, well, it's going to be in this ballpark depending on how much time it takes. It's going to be this flat fee. It just makes things flow that much easier when I'm working with those clients. And then once you have that flat fee, and it takes time, right? You don't want to set a flat fee for a service that you haven't really done too often because you're just kind of guessing, and
Right.
then it might end up taking twice as long as you anticipated, and you end up losing money on that service. So I would say, do the service, get to where you really have it down to a certain amount of time, and then charge a flat fee that's a little bit more than what that would take you to do that hourly, because then you're taking into an account the outliers that might end up taking more time. You're going to end up making a little bit more money on those, and it's just going to make it that much easier for you to advertise to your clients that particular service.
If you look at things like, okay, a mechanic that works on your vehicle, right? A mechanic has in their shops, you can go in any shop, you can look at it, they have a book, right? And they say, okay, I need a muffler changed or a transmission redone or something like that. Everything that they do in there has an hourly amount of time. So if a transmission takes them, according to the book, 6 hours, you're getting charged that 6-hour rate at whatever it is, between $85 and $125 an hour, depending on what certifications they have, right? And so regardless, if they get really good at it and they get it done in 4 hours, that's just a bonus to them. They still get paid the 6-hour rate for that particular job. So it's the same type of thing. You can come up with, and don't get me wrong, when you're charging something and you're taking a long time to do it and you're learning, that's okay. Okay? Because, the first couple times you do a power jack repair. My first power jack repair took me 6 hours. I couldn't get the stupid thing unsoldered from the board. It was terrible. And I'm sitting there, I'm sweat's coming down my face because I'm like going, if I break this motherboard, I got to spend back then $250 to replace it, you know. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing here. So that took me a long time. Now a power jack repair, by the time I take it apart, it's less than an hour to do that power jack repair now. So, and I'm not talking about the ones where you could plug in the little pigtail. I am talking about desoldering and soldering a new one on the board. Because
I have to stop you, Jeff. So your first time doing this was a customer's computer or a test computer?
No, it was a customer's computer.
So just so we can throw it, that's not a good idea for anybody just starting out, right?
Yeah, probably not.
Okay.
I still do it. Hey, listen. That digitizer I just fixed like 2 weeks ago or a month ago or whatever. That was a customer's computer. I'd never done one. Now, granted, I messed up their LCD screen and had to buy a new one. So, yeah, it's probably cheaper to learn on somebody else, you know, on a piece of junk equipment off of eBay versus just working on your customer's computer. But they needed it fixed. What, you know, I figured I could figure it out eventually.
Yeah, been there, done that.
You know, it's all the learning experiences. So, anyways, yeah, it comes back down to, you know, how much you should charge. I would tell everybody to go to Matthew's, website and check out that link we'll put in the show notes for the calculator, and just put the numbers in and play around with the numbers and kind of see where you're at. You know, make some decisions based on that, because I know a lot of people have been going from their part-time businesses into full-time businesses, and they're trying to figure out, how do I make this work, you know, and you're not going to be able to make it work at $25 an hour. It's just, I mean, unless you have like Matt said, you know, no mortgage, no car payments, no, you know, food for the family or whatever. If you're a single person living in a van down by the river, then, you know, you could probably charge $25 an hour, and that would be perfectly fine. And the reason I say that is a lot of people think that $25 an hour is a lot of money. $25 an hour is a decent rate, but what you're not factoring in is you're not factoring in your taxes, you're not factoring in your expenses for things that you use on a regular basis, and there are going to be some small expenses in this business. It's just part of doing business. And to be honest with you, you actually want to pay for some of those things because it's going to come off your bottom line tax line, and you know, you're going to pay less taxes to the government, where, you know, if you didn't have all those tools that made you more efficient and able to do things quicker, then guess what? The government's just going to take all that money anyways. So,
you know, the neighborhood kid who cuts grass in my neighborhood charges $40 an hour.
Whew. Wow.
Wow.
And that's cash. I'm sure he's not reporting it to the IRS.
Right.
That guy's a savvy business kid right there.
His only expenses is his parents' lawnmower and gas, which isn't his expense.
Right.
So $25 an hour, you should just be reasonable with a technical skill. You should know you shouldn't be charging anywhere near $25 an hour.
You know, I don't charge exorbitant rates or anything like that, but even with my rates that have went up, you know, a lot of people have actually, my last 3 customers have looked at me and said, "Is that it?" when I've given them the bottom price, and I'm like going,
Then you say, "Oh wait, no wait, I'm sorry."
"No, I miscalculated that. Let me add a 0 to that."
Exactly.
So, you know, a lot of times you again, it's all about the type of customer. You know, I spend a lot of time, you know, fixing some of these weird problems that, you know, I look at it later and I go, I really should have charged an hourly rate, because the time and effort it took me to figure that weird problem out, which it's stuff I get, right? They're not all simple. They're not all easy. It's like, why is this not working? I don't know, but I'll eventually figure it out. It just takes some time to do that. So you got to factor that in there.
A funny story, and this is interesting how this works, but when I first started out doing this part-time, I was just starting out, so I really just wanted to get as many clients as I could, and I charged the lowest rate I've ever charged for my work. I would get people who would try to negotiate that down. They would be like, "Oh, you know, I was with this other guy who charged, I was charging $50 an hour," and they said, "Oh, I had work done by this other guy who charged $40 an hour. Why don't you give me a little break?" You know, and I had clients doing that all the time. And these days, when I'm charging,
I'd say, "What happened to him?" You can give him a call back. What happened to him?
No, I stuck to my guns. He ended up being a client of mine for a little bit, and then he just never called me back again. And good riddance.
Exactly. That's
Um,
not the type of work you wanted anyways.
yeah, but these days when my rate is about double that, I don't get that kind of stuff. I don't get people trying to negotiate me down, and I guess I can attribute that to just I'm attracting a different type of client with those rates. So it's funny how that works, where you think you're undercutting all your competition and you got the lowest rate in town. You're still going to get people who are going to try to negotiate you down. So you might as well just not, do that.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. A lot of people don't realize that there is a psychological thing that happens in people's minds. I know this is getting a little deep for everybody, but I do read books sometimes. And so there's a psychological thing that happens that says when you're paying a what you feel is a lot of money for a service, you feel you're getting a better quality job done than if you're getting a cheaper rate. And I don't know why that is, but it's
Yep.
just true. And so again, we're not talking about the people who are tire kickers and all they're concerned about is price. Hey, they just want it fixed so it can work for the next couple months till they, maybe save up enough money for a new computer or whatever their scenario is. And I always want to do that quality product, right? I always want to take the time, make sure that everything is done on that machine before I give it back to the customer. Because the last thing you want is you hand it back to the customer and they go, hey, this is messed up. Oh, okay. And you've got to go back and fix that. So again, it's just, yeah. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but you gotta do what works for you, and just understand that you are worth more than $25 an hour.
Hopefully.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
Otherwise,
again,
just start mowing lawns.
yeah, because you can get 40 right there.
Right.
Oh man. All right, well, guys,
But then you're not working in the air conditioning either, so.
What's that?
Us computer guys like air conditioning, right?
That's
Yes.
right. Well, unless you have to work on the air conditioning, but yes, that's another story. Anyway, it's working now, so I'm happy. We've had a jam-packed show with a lot of good information, guys, and I really appreciate you coming out and sharing. Mr. Rodela, if people want to find out more about you and get in contact with you, what's the best way to do that?
Head on over to yfncg.com. That's my blog and resource for computer business owners. That's where I do the Computer Business Podcast. And down there on the homepage, kind of in the middle, if you scroll down a little bit, there's you could pick up the free ebook that has some different things that you can do to improve your computer business. 20 things you can do to improve your computer business right now. And you can grab that ebook for free, and love to see you guys over there at yfncg.com.
Very cool. Thanks again for coming out.
Thank you.
All right, and Mr. Rainey, where can people find you at?
The best place is over at informedit.net. You can email info@informedit.net and check out the site. It's got forms for technicians to keep their clients' networks documented and all their settings and expiration dates for services, router passwords. Check it out. It's valuable for techs to be informed of their client setup so you can help support them better.
Absolutely. Yeah, check that out. We'll definitely have a link for that in the show notes. All right, we do Podnutz Computer Repair podcast every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern over at podnutz.com/live. We would love it if you guys would watch and join in on the conversation by hanging out in the chat room or just calling in live. We have on-demand audio and video always available after the fact over at podnutz.com and my YouTube channel, Podnutz Live Show for Computer Repair Techs. You guys can find me on the Google Plus at Jeffery Halash or Twitter at TechNutPC. And if you're a computer repair tech and would like to be a guest on Podnutz Daily, where you talk about your business, you can send an email to podnutzdaily@podnutz.com. You guys can also email questions and feedback for this show to podnutz@podnutz.com. You guys can leave a voicemail for the show. You use the call-in number 1-888-697-0162, or here's a fresh idea. You can call into the show. We're here every Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time till about 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you guys can do us a favor, leave us a rating and review over on iTunes. That will help more people know about the show that need the help that we're talking about. You guys can also help support the Podnutz Network next time you're shopping at Amazon. Go to podnutz.com/Amazon. And I want to thank everyone for listening and subscribing to the show. We'll see you next time on Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast. All right. Good show. Good show. We're still on the air, just so you guys know.
That was fun.
Yeah, good stuff. Very
So
good.
a CT Tech guy in the chat asked, do you have any advice in selling managed services to businesses while still working a 9 to 5? And I think, Jeff,
Oh.
you were talking about that's something you've been doing.
Not to businesses. So mine.
Oh,
Mine
that's right. You're residential, right? Yep.
mine's mostly residential. It's the same type of thing. I think it's about setting up expectations when you go in. And again, business customers a lot of times I think are going to look at, your availability. And right off the bat, they're going to think that they need you there 24/7. Well, if that was the case, they would have an IT guy on staff or gal sitting there working on that, on their network and stuff all the time. But that's not the case. So that's why they're calling around to get subcontracts, like you, whereas, you're not always going to be available anyways because you might be working at a different clients. And,
Yeah, I think it's easier to sell managed services to businesses because I think businesses more than the average Joe would understand the value of things like preventive maintenance, things
Right.
like having someone that you can rely on that's going to understand your system and is going to keep things running in tip-top shape. So I just for some reason I feel like it's a little bit easier to sell to businesses, to sell managed services to businesses.
Right.
Yeah, definitely, because they need antivirus software anyway. You can do the managed backup. They need backup. They need patch management. It's all stuff that they need anyway, so it can all be one bundled solution for them.
Well, and the sad thing is really residential customers need the same thing. They just
Right.
don't know it, and a lot of them aren't willing to pay for it, and that's what's sad. Because I'm trying to come up with models where I can still make a decent amount of money, but where I can help a client. Now, maybe there are probably tons of clients out there that'll pay a higher rate than even what I'm charging, and that's fine. But I just don't think it's hitting kind of the middle of the road. I think you're hitting high-end customers for the most part. Hey, Marvin, how you doing?
Hey guys.
Hey, Marvin.
Hey,
Marvin was our call screener for the show.
cool.
You weren't overworked, were you?
I was waiting for Swift 110 to call back and update us on his.
Right.
Hopefully a good, better cell phone signal, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
Hey, Mr. Rainey, you didn't mention your advanced troubleshooting rate when talking about pricing.
Yeah, well, that scares people. I like that
what's the advanced troubleshooting rate?
I think what he means is if I go by any other tech, it's like 150 an hour or 100, whatever it is. If I go by any other tech looked at it, and they don't call me first. It must be advanced because the other person couldn't get it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Nice.
But that's true, because how many times have you had, I love getting a laptop in where all of a sudden I go, hey, did you have somebody else take this apart? No. Well, why is there like 3 screws missing right from the bottom?
It's been that way forever, Jeff. It came that way from the factory.
Yeah, it's like, that little blue stuff they put on the ends of the screws? Yeah, it's called Loctite. Yeah, it keeps the screws from coming out. So somebody had to physically take those out. And then, you love the jobs where all of a sudden you get somebody that they basically, they bring you the laptop in little sandwich baggies, all the nuts and bolts and stuff, and the parts all in like a box or a bag. Hey,
I
can
don't
you
even
put
take
that
those.
together for me?
I'll say no. I'm sorry.
You know what? It depends on what it is. A lot of times, again, they're so simple nowadays. I don't really have a problem with it, but I just have to laugh. Like, really? I said, why didn't you just bring it? I had one person brought me one, and they stripped the screw, right? And I'm like going, oh, obviously, the last thing you want to do is you don't want to drill by, the motherboard, because if the drill bit slips or whatever, so you're looking at it. And I was able to, I've got an old trick where I was able to cut into the screw, and basically instead of being a star-shaped screw, it was basically a long, flat. And I took the right side screwdriver and jammed it in there and put pressure on it and broke it free. I mean, it was like Beautiful.
Made it work.
Exactly. You know, threw that screw away, went and got another screw, put it back together.
I don't usually take any job where people bring me parts themselves that they bought. Like, hey, can you install this video card? No. I don't know where you got that video card. I don't know what's wrong with your computer. I'm gonna put that video card in. You just have a broken computer.
See, that's funny because that's true. But I mean, because I charge a flat rate on most computer fixes. If you bring it to me, then it's going to be, I'll fix the video card and whatever else is.
Yeah, because if the video card's dead, and I tell them, look, I installed it, but it doesn't work.
Right.
You must have broke it. You must have broke it. It's brand new. Well, it could be DOA. No, it worked. How do you know it worked? I don't like doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Take those jobs.
Now,
if you wanted me to do it, we'll order a video card. Well, first we'll bring your computer in, we'll make sure it boots up, and then we'll order a video card, and then we'll install it.
There you go. Yeah, that's true. I did have somebody bring me. They installed the video card themselves. It was in a desktop computer. I think it was a Dell Alienware, and they brought it to me and couldn't figure out what was going on. It wasn't working. So I took it down to the shop and realized that there was no power connectors to the video card. So I plugged it in, and booted right up. Yep, it works now. Here you go. So my 2-minute fix. But yeah, some people try to do their own thing, but yeah, at what point do you go, no, I'm not going to deal with that?
You can deal with it. Just charge them the advance rate.
There you go.
That's the key.
I'm going to start using that. $150 advance rate.
Yep.
Advanced computer troubleshooting.
Advance rate, the priority rate. When they say they want it now. Oh,
Yeah.
so you want the priority support? Well, what is that? Well, that means you get jumped to the front of the queue, and it's time and a half an hour. So it's what, $150 an hour?
Nice.
I don't want to pay that. Oh, so okay, we'll just bring it in. We'll look at it when we can. We don't want it right now. Well, you just said you didn't want it right now. Which one is it? Do you want it right now or not? I want it right now without paying the money, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Cheap, fast, and good doesn't work that way.
Yeah. No, it can't be. So so all 4 of us are going to be down in Chicago here coming up.
That's right.
Nice.
Now, when y'all going down there Sunday?
Sunday.
Yeah, I'm flying down Sunday morning.
Sunday morning.
I should be there around noon. We'll see how fast I drive or if I get pulled over or something. But
Chris is picking you up, right?
yeah, yep. So
I mean, I'll be a Chicagoan by then. I mean, I'll be there for a week.
well, just hey, just we'll meet you. You're staying at the same hotel, right?
Mm-hmm. The Hilton.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. We'll look you up. I think Steve McLaughlin's going to be there. I think his flight comes in sometime 10 o'clock in the morning or something like that. So he'll be there.
I know Sunday, probably till mid-afternoon, they have this street market they set up not too far from the hotel. So
okay.
Street market, street food, street vendors. So I know I'll be out there until probably like 3 in the afternoon.
Nice.
So La Paz on Maxwell Market. Maxwell Market. I'll be probably down there. It's supposed to be a nice little thing.
Cool.
Once a week. And I actually read an article separately about the best tacos in America. And on the list was one of the vendors who sets up at Maxwell Market.
Nice.
Nice. That sounds good. Man, I'm hungry now.
I said, well, I know where I'm having lunch on Sunday.
Did you guys go last year?
I went to Phoenix.
I didn't. No.
How was it just as an overall experience?
I liked the conference. There's a lot of different vendors there. So I really enjoyed all the different stuff that they had there. The talks were really good. The vendors that way they were good.
Cool.
That the podcast people there was an added benefit, but I didn't go specifically for the podcast. I went for the conference.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, this time I'm looking for a cloud-based file sharing solution, is what I'd really like to find. Last year I went just to go, but this year I have a purpose. I want to find one of these vendors. That's a lot of things we move to the cloud, and there's no really good cloud-based file sharing solution.
At first I thought you'd say clown-based. I'm like, oh, there's plenty of those.
That'll work too. I'll take one of those. If they have one of those, that'd be kind of fun.
Rainey, we just took some people off Ignite. Have you tried using that for file sharing?
Ignite. I'm not sure that's what I've looked at. Is it just like it sounds? IGNIT?
It's EG. EGNYTE.
Okay, I don't think that was one I looked at. So you have people on that right now?
Well, we actually took them off.
Oh, you took them off. Why did you take them off? They had problems with it?
Yeah, they just didn't like the performance, and they wanted much more control. They had email. They were doing pop email, and then they were doing this Ignite file sharing. So they wanted to streamline all their stuff. So we ended up putting them. We put a server in-house for them. It got them on Exchange and Terminal Server, and then we're probably going to end up moving them to Office 365 in about a year because they're going to double in size their business. They're about 25 people now. They're growing like mad, so we'll put them to Office 365, and we're trying to look at the SharePoint, but we haven't found anybody that's liked SharePoint in the last couple of years.
Well, we have a client using Office 365 hosted SharePoint.
Yeah.
And they've got like 200 plus users on it. Now, what did you put them on? Just a Server 2012 with in-house Exchange, or?
Yeah, it's a 2012 domain controller. We put in a 2008 terminal server and a 2012 with Exchange 2010.
I don't like Exchange Server 2012. I like way much more than 2012. Hey, so let me ask this. How many SBS 2011 servers do you have out?
2011? I've only got one or two.
What? That's it? Do they lock up once in a while on you? Like they just hard lock up?
Yes.
Have you ever figured out why?
No.
Okay. I'm going to open a case at Microsoft because that happens too frequent with SBS 2011. I suspected it was, I thought it was the WSUS or some kind of SQL taking up all the resources, but I limited SQL to so much megabytes of resources.
Right.
But it'll just hard lock up. You got to just power it off.
Yeah. Now mine only locks up it's like once every 3 or 4 months.
Okay, so
horrible.
It'll get more. That's how they start.
Okay.
I had one that went 2 years without locking up. Then it locked up once. I thought, okay, that's strange. Then it locked up once 6 months later, and now it's locking up every 2 weeks, and nothing's changed. Other clients we have 2011, they lock up every 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
What's that?
What manufacturers?
They're different. Most of them are HP servers.
Now, I have had a problem with HP ProLiant 350s.
Yeah.
G5 or G... I think the G5 I had a lot of... Or maybe it was a G6. But the ProLiants that we bought around 2012, for some reason that year, every server we bought we've had trouble with.
What kind of troubles?
We've had similar lockups where we couldn't determine whether it was the SBS or the server. The RAID battery would go all the time. We replaced a ton of the RAID card batteries. And one other thing, we had a couple of boards that had to be replaced, but luckily, we had the Pro Care, so HP came out 4 hours, switched it.
Because we'll put some monitoring tools on it. We'll see the RAM just go up, and then one point it just stops responding. So that's why
SBS 2011. I think that was one of the reasons I didn't keep using it because I just didn't like it as the whole product just wasn't really that good.
Yeah, I need to find. I'm open to kiss at Microsoft because I finally had one client. Because it's hard to when they're down. It's hard to troubleshoot it, and they don't want to troubleshoot. They want to back up.
Right.
I finally got one client who's a smaller client that said, "I don't care what you got to do. I don't want this locked in." He's only locked up twice. He said that's too much for me. So I said, "Well, I'll open a kiss at Microsoft, and whatever they find, I'm hoping it's going to be the fix for all of them." It doesn't happen to all of the servers. I think it might happen. We probably have. We might have 30 or 40 out, and 3 or 4 or 5 of them lock up.
Huh. Are you running Exchange on all of them too?
Yeah, all of them have Exchange in-house. And that's one thing I don't like about Exchange. It uses all the resources. It takes up all the RAM, and according to Microsoft, says, oh, if you need it, it'll release it to the process that's requesting it.
That's a lie.
I
No, I got to the point where with SBS 08, in Exchange 2007, if they needed Exchange, we actually moved that to a different server, but left SBS running with all their other stuff and moved Exchange to another server.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. As 2011 lately, and we're actually moving a client to SBS with 2011 right now because they bought the server 2 years ago and they wouldn't let us install it till right now.
Wow, I was going to say that was only available for like a year and a half. I mean,
they bought the server 2 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
So I'm going to be upset that if this thing starts locking up because they're on an old 03 SBS. And you can reboot the server. Some places their fix was we don't want to work with we don't want you to take the time to work with Microsoft. So let's just do a reboot every night. So it reboots every night. But even if it reboots at 2 in the morning, it might lock up at 9 in the morning. Nobody's even logged in, and it locks up. I'm like,
yeah.
Geez. So,
that's where I thought it was an HP issue, and unfortunately, HP couldn't troubleshoot anything on theirs. The Insight Diagnostics showed nothing.
Right, they don't show anything.
No.
Yeah, that's kind of that. Hopefully, the Microsoft can find something because I'm going to bid open a case. Well, actually, we have partner support, so I just needed a client that would let me work with Microsoft and let them load whatever and reboot whenever they want. Because as clients, if you want to reboot, it's the end of the world.
Gosh. Yep. Oh, the fun.
Yeah. So we're all gonna have fun next week, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna be there with bells on.
I'm looking forward to that Tuesday night party as well.
What's that?
That's at the Wrigley Field. That's the conference party.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, man, in my age, I can't party too hard.
Well, okay, so the party, yeah, not like that. We're not going clubbing. The party last year was at this horse arena thing. So, but pretty much just at least last year, drinks, food, and they had the party last year was at the horses performing, running around. Really, the show was not that good. The food and the drink were good. But this was at Wrigley Field.
Right.
So you get to do the tour of the Wrigley Field, look around.
So what football team plays there?
Yeah, it's funny. So I figured it on the much sports, but they're also, from what I heard, batting practice. You can do batting in the Wrigley Field too. You can have that available.
I'm going to tell you. I went to this. Speaking of, I went to the Science Museum one time, and they have all these little different things you could do. And I always thought, I was much younger. I always thought, oh yeah, they had this baseball, and you could throw at the target, and you could see how many miles an hour you threw it. And I'm thinking, this has got to be easy. I can throw this thing, 80 miles an hour or whatever, no problem. So I wind up and I hit the target dead center, and it was like 41. I threw it as absolutely
Very
hard as I could, and I was like going. At that point, I finally realized. I go, these guys got a skill that is just I don't understand.
Let me tell you what, Jeff. If you went to a major league game right now, they put you in, and you threw that pitch, you struck him out.
it'd be so like slow motion. What the?
It's called an off-speed pitch, Jeff. That's what it is.
They go, this guy's good. Watch out for him.
It's so slow. I don't understand. Yeah.
Hey, Rodela, I had to step out a little bit. I heard you guys talking about the tech site builder.
Yep.
And did I hear correctly that you guys are planning to get that out next week?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. If all goes well, it'll be next week because the only thing I'm waiting on is a little hiccup with the billing, the process of paying for it. Other than that, it's ready to go. So.
Yeah, Marvin needs some help with his website. I don't.
My website's coming.
What is that one? mbsystems.net?
I don't get referrals from my site.
No. Well, exactly. I mean, your type of business. I mean, it definitely works for the word of mouth referral that you've built with businesses over the years. So.
I figure if you're a tech that has the time to like put together an awesome website, then you're probably not putting your time into like actually growing your business.
Right.
And I mean that's the whole point of Tech Site Builder is you don't have to spend time to put up a good website, and your website will look good and get the job done. So.
And it does. I mean, like I said, my only concern is I just want to make sure that the phone number's at the top, and obviously above the fold. And that means, so for those that don't know, that means so when you don't have to scroll, no matter what size screen you're on, you just see me looking at you.
You gotta do that though in the picture. I like that.
Yeah. I'm here for you. Yeah, but and you can see a little blurb and then my phone number. And really, what I want you to do is I do want you to call me, as a customer, because I want to be able to communicate with the customer. And a lot of times, really, that's how I land my my deals, is just by talking to people.
Yeah. Some people really rely on their website, and some people never use it, and it just depends on how your business works, how it's set up.
Yeah, one day I would hope to have Marvin B's business, but business like his.
Listen, we'll be together next week. We'll sit down, have a little chat. I'll have a beer. You can have a milk, and we'll figure it out.
Sounds good. Milk, like I drink milk. Now coffee, okay, I can understand, but milk, seriously? No, really, Jeff, this is milk. That don't smell like milk to me. All right, what time is it?
So is there some kind of texting group, or how do we find each other when we're at the thing? I know Mike Smith said there'd be some kind of thing that we're gonna do.
Yeah, you go to the meetup at 5 o'clock Sunday, and meet us all there. And then they're supposed to give us some little neck things for our badge holders that we can recognize each other throughout the.
Yeah, they give you a badge, and you'll see some people walking with a badge that's like this long.
From all the conferences they've been to.
Small things, yeah.
Nice. Do we have some kind of? Do you all use some kind of like chat program or something that we can all be on and?
Google Hangouts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. So if we're hanging out at the meetup Sunday, the party's Tuesday, so there's still. I don't know if there's gonna be like group things or people just random get-togethers Monday and after the conference or Wednesday. But
I mean, if you want to say like, hey guys, come check out this cool booth or this cool thing that's going on right now, we can just
I know for those who haven't been, usually the vendor floor after 5, or it's going to be Monday and Wednesday. The vendor floor has a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of vendors to go check out, a lot of free stuff to give away. So definitely have to go to the vendor floor after the conference Monday and Wednesday. And actually, depending on the timeline, there's vendor stuff after the conference Tuesday before you leave for the party on Tuesday night. But the vendor floor is fun.
Did anybody sign? Okay, so I guess there on Lisa's website there's a sign up for the meetup, and she was supposed to be collecting information there. I'll have to talk to Chris to see what information we have, so we can probably need to get some of your guys' cell phone numbers or something just to communicate. I mean, there's Google Hangouts. I mean, there are some people that use Voxer and things like that, but I think everybody's got a Google, probably Google Hangout on most phones, and unless you're using iOS.
I think we're going to want something that's a little bit more immediate, because we get Google alerts all day long. I don't look at them.
I don't.
If we can get a group text, I don't know if Voxer is an idea, but the group texting would be great.
We have to have a repository of basically everybody's phone numbers on their cell phone.
Yeah, and somebody would have to just key onto their phone, right?
Right.
Hit a test or one text the whole group. That way, everybody can reply to it. That's one idea.
Let me ask Chris about that, because that's a good idea. And then what I'll do is I'll probably get some key people's information and stuff too, so we can figure out what we're doing. But I would imagine that like a lot of the talks will probably be all going to the same types of talks.
Yeah, the talks. I mean, during the day, I mean, you'll see all kind of people in and out of the talks. Mainly, I would think this would be for, hey, we're all hanging out here at this hall, or we're all, go and grab a drink at the bar or something, or
Right.
Because the conference during the day, you'll be in and out of talks all day long.
Yeah.
Normally Tuesday and Wednesday. Monday is usually the first day. It's like half a day because they do a lot of registration the first part of the day.
But then there's registration, but then there's also breakfast every day too.
Oh, yeah.
They've got the community breakfast and all that kind of stuff in the morning.
The food last year was awesome. So you definitely want to get down there and get breakfast and lunch. I mean, you'll be down there anyway for lunch. There's always food. They don't say dinner, per se. At least last year they didn't. But there's a lot of food in the vendor fair area.
It will be downtown Chicago, so there'll be plenty of places that we can go and crash or whatever and get dinner or something like that
Right.
too. So
The free dinners at the vendor fair, it's free food.
Is it really?
It's just, all the food's free. All the food and drink is free.
Oh, okay.
You go out for breakfast, it's free. Lunch is free, and the food in the vendor fair is all free.
And they wonder why all the IT people are fat.
And look, what I love most is they had at least in Arizona or Phoenix, they had during the conference there's carts up and down all the hallways with all kind of sodas, Starbucks carts if you like.
Oh
coffee.
my gosh!
As much coffee, sodas. They had snacks all day long that you can get in addition to the breakfast, lunch, and the food at the vendor fair.
Wow!
And the food was all excellent. I mean, you got breakfast.
This is
full
like
breakfast.
going on a cruise.
Yeah,
You
full
just
breakfast.
graze all day.
I mean, omelets, eggs, bacon, sausage, fruit, cereals. I mean, they had everything. It's all pretty big.
No wonder they're doing a 5K run.
That's called sleeping in.
Yeah, yes. Who's doing a 5K run? Yeah, no. No, thank you.
And you'll see what's funny is you'll see people who are in the elevator carrying like an armful of sodas because they're bringing it up to the room.
Nice.
And then bring plates of food for their wife who's in the hotel room. They'll make a plate, bring it upstairs, come back, and you'll do a lot of that. Unless they crack down on it. Because my wife came down in Phoenix. My wife came. They didn't want to check in IDs in the hallway. She came down and ate whatever she wanted.
Oh, wow. Cool.
We tell the kids, okay, kids, y'all want to the conference? Come on.
Right.
Hey, to be honest with you, I mean, you can sign. It doesn't matter who you are. You can use that link. From
Well, I didn't want to use those. I mean, for techs who were going to use them. I didn't sign them.
Right.
I mean, if they're still available Sunday night, or Monday afternoon, I mean, but I know Corey has to pay for that. I didn't want to have my kids eat free off on Corey, so.
Oh, how much can your kids eat? Come on.
But last year they didn't care if you were in the hallway. They weren't checking IDs. I saw people I know who were in the conference going grabbing food.
Oh, it'll be a good time. Good time. All right, I think I'm gonna shut down the live broadcast, but we'll see you guys. Oh, actually, we won't see you guys. We'll see those who are going to Chicago. We'll see y'all in Chicago, and then we'll be back on the 9th for the next show. Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Talk to y'all soon. See ya.
See ya.